spring at Mountain Mama's home and here at our homestead, which means projects. Lots and lots and lots of projects. On my community tab, I asked you if you had questions regarding spring on the homestead, and oh my lord, were there ever. There were so many great questions, so I'm going to answer some of those today in today's video. As I show you all the projects we've got going on around the homestead, we're going to talk about how to handle all those muddy boots. I have a really big announcement I'm really excited to tell you about, and an amazing delicious breakfast you can make in bulk for the week ahead that nobody is going to complain about. I will answer the question of what some of my favorite herbs are to grow and why. Somebody wanted to know how our mushroom patch is doing and favorite teas that I like to drink in the spring. Somebody asked about our tractor, tips for starting seeds indoors when you don't have a ton of space and the days are still kind of dark. One person wanted to know what our future homestead goals are. So these are just some of the topics that will be covered in this video, and I hope you'll stick around to the end because at the end I'm going to have a special springtime devotional. If you're looking for a fast and easy breakfast for the spring and early summer, let me suggest strawberry shortcake, but a super easy version. I like to take just a regular biscuit recipe, add a little extra sugar, make it super simple, and that's it. And then I get my strawberries, blend them, and I don't even always whip up the cream. Sometimes we just pour the cream over, but it makes a fast and very easy breakfast. And the neat thing is about this is you can make up a huge batch of strawberries. You can make up like half a gallon of strawberries, get a quart of cream or maybe just a pint of cream, make up a ton of biscuits in advance, maybe like a triple batch or a quadruple batch, and voila, you have breakfasts for the entire week and nobody is going to complain. Nobody's going to get tired of it either. I'm not sharing a recipe because literally you can take any biscuit recipe and just add a little extra sugar. It's as easy as can be. Speaking of recipes, I have a really big announcement. I am very excited to be making this announcement. I have started a third channel. So there's this channel. You guys probably know about my homeschooling channel if you've been here for a while. Well, I just started a third one. It is strictly for recipes. It's a little bit more of an ASMR. My hopes for it are that you'll be able to turn it on, let it play as long as you want, just for some peaceful background noise and peaceful music, and one that you won't get tired of. And if you're not watching, it's fine, and if you are watching it, that's great. You'll just get ideas for great recipes. Part of the reason I wanted to do this is because I needed to create separate videos for the recipes that I do have on the blog. So you guys, I hope you will check out the new channel. You are free to subscribe now. There is no content posted at this time. There will be starting in May if all goes as planned. That's my goal. That's my opening day for the new channel is May. So I hope you guys will subscribe, hit all notifications over there for when the first videos start to appear. Perhaps nothing says it's spring on a farm quite like new life and mud. At the time of filming this, all the Maine winter snow has melted, but a couple times a week we wake up and it looks like this outside again. Usually by afternoon, it has all melted though. It's kind of wild, waking up to an inch or two of snow and having it look like this by 2-3 o'clock. Are you gonna jump in the mud puddle? One of your questions was how to deal with all the muddy boots that come in from on the farm. As a family of 8, we have our share of muddy boots, and it seems like every spring everybody forgets the muddy boot routine, so I have to reestablish it. One of the big things that I found to help was to have good doormats at all the doors, going in, right outside the door, and right inside the door. But the biggest thing that I found to help is to have a place for the shoes. You might not have as large of a family or need quite as large of a shelf as this, but this is the shelf, and we use the 2 bottom ones for all those muddy boots. And I ask everybody in the house, please, if you've got muddy boots, come in and out that door, not the other main doors. We are low income, and so I'm always looking for ways to help our farm pay for itself. One of the things that I started is incubating eggs. So last year I purchased a Sal Novo incubator, and it's not a very good one. I would not recommend Sal Novo. So this year I got a Nurture Right 360. It definitely has better hatch rates. I am really excited because quite a few people have let me know they want to buy chicks and hens from me. This will definitely help pay for the chicken feed for our laying hens and our meat birds. Another thing I'm doing to save a lot of money is I'm starting my own seeds. There may be a few things that I buy from local farmers, but by starting our own seedlings, I'm saving around $300 on our gardening expenses for the year. But what is even better is that I've planted extra. We live in a major homestead community with so many people just like us. There are plant swaps in our area. There are farm swaps and animal swaps. So in addition to saving money, I might even make a little bit, or at least barter and trade for some of the other plants that I don't have growing that I need. I have a hot and important tip for when you are transplanting your tomato plants in a moment, so don't leave because I'm going to share that in just a second. If you want healthy tomato plant starts, you really need to do this. First, I'll show you one of the things I had to invest in was lights, grow lights. I found these grow lights on Amazon for $40, and we just happened to have this shelf. So this should answer the question of how I start my plant starts indoors. This isn't quite enough space. I actually need another shelf and some more grow lights to do this properly, but you can see that having the grow lights makes a big difference. Something I don't have that I should have on all of these though is a fan. If you put a fan on all of your plants, it strengthens them and prepares them for outside so they're not as shocked when you do go to put them in the garden. We have a very short growing season where we live, so we have to start our seedlings in February, then transplant them into larger containers. When doing that, it's really important to remember to fertilize the soil. That is something I haven't always done, and my seedlings don't do as well because I haven't done that, but doing that helps a lot. Another thing is I save all my eggshells. Eggshells have calcium in them. I put a tablespoon with each one of these little containers when I'm transplanting my starts. And this is important for tomatoes, but it's also important for peppers. The calcium in the eggshells helps prevent end blossom rot, which can be a serious problem where we live. When I go to put these in the garden, I will add more eggshell. I will probably add some Epsom salts and some more calcium as well, just to be on the safe side. Because once end blossom rot is already happening, it's hard to make it go away. It's kind of too late. I found that prevention is much better than a cure when it comes to end blossom rot. A little trick when you're transplanting your tomato seeds. You want to bury the bottom leaves. So you see these two bottom leaves here. If you bury those, it's supposed to help the plant. That could be an old wives' tale, but it's something I heard years ago, so I always do that. In the opening scenes of this video, I was showing the guys are building my new chicken coop. My sons are actually bickering in this scene because one's a perfectionist and the other one is not. And the one brother called his other brother persnickety. Your boys bicker. Sometimes I think mine do it just for entertainment, honestly. They got it done. No, this is to separate my Australorps from the rest of the flock. In order to hatch pure breeds, they have to be separated from the other breeds of hens for at least a month. I need about 3 or 4 more of these coops for all of the breeds I'm trying to do, but that will happen in time. I guess you could call that one of our future homestead goals, more coops. I've been trying to get stocked up on soap for the upcoming year ahead. I don't want to have to make more until maybe next January or February. So I've been trying to get all stocked up. What I've got here is a tea tree sage soap, and the bottom layer is charcoal, the middle layer is indigo, and the top layer is colored with spirulina, and it's all natural, all 100% natural colorings. This will be a nice hand soap. I have been working on getting my basic soap making process on Patreon, so you might want to go check over there. I do have quite a few videos and courses over there for those who are interested in learning more homemaking and homesteading skills. I was asked what kind of teas I like to drink in the spring. I'd never really thought about it until now, but I do notice that the spring and going into the summer months, oftentimes my gallbladder acts up. I used to have problems with my gallbladder. So this time of year, I really like to drink teas that support the liver and digestion. Ginger, dandelion. I really like Dr. Christopher's Barberry LG. Thing about that one is a lot of people are going to think it's bitter. I have grown to like it. I think it tastes good, but I do like to add some ginger to it, along with a little lemon. I will put a link to that in the description box below. You should always check with your healthcare practitioner before drinking teas like Barberry LG. Do you remember last harvest when I harvested these peppers and hang them in here? We were still eating fresh peppers from these in February. Crazy. Of course, we're still enjoying lots of home canned goods like these pickled peppers. Have you guys seen that I have some canning courses over on Patreon? With these peppers, I'm gonna whip up a really delicious Sunday cheesy rice dish. I'll share that in an upcoming video. Actually, I'll probably share it over on my other channel, but give a good preview of it in an upcoming video here. Somebody asked how our Winecap Mushroom Bed turned out. Well, we thought it was a loss. We had a very dry summer last year and harvest, and it was hard keeping it watered. I gave the bed to one of the kids, and well, they forgot to water it most of the time, and we thought it was a loss. Lo and behold, in November, which we had a very rainy November, I found some mushrooms growing. I was so happy. So we covered it the best we could. Now we're just waiting to see how they fared the winter. To the person who asked about our tractor, here it is. Just kidding, but not by far. Our tractor is secondhand and it was old when we got it. It's a cool old International. It definitely is old. It's rough. It needs repairs often, but it does get most of the jobs done that we need it to. We did have troubles getting the driveway plowed with it this last winter. It needs some repairs again, and the beat goes on. My favorite herbs to have and grow for the whole summer are mainly culinary herbs. Marjoram, sage, basil is a top one. Thyme, dill, fennel. Since I live in an area that is prolific with forests, I don't need to grow very many medicinal type herbs. One of the questions that was asked was, what are our future homestead dreams and goals? I will discuss this, but I'm also going to kind of intertwine this with a devotional. I'll kind of phase into that. Well, one of our top ones is definitely to hopefully finish the house. Though the ETA on that is very unclear at the moment. Before I do share some of our hopes and goals for our homestead, I feel I should probably first start with where we're at and what we've achieved so far and are so grateful for. Because there was such a long period of time where we didn't think any of this was ever going to be possible. We've got chickens, we've got goats. Aren't they cute? We have more goats. So we have the bucks and the does, and 2 of the does are pregnant now, so we're going to have more goats soon. We have 4 wonderful dogs that we are absolutely crazy about. We have ducks, which are hilarious. They are so funny. We have a bunny, and I think that covers it as far as animals go. But we also have a huge garden. I think it's close to half an acre. And we have 21 acres of pasture and forest. Our homestead was a long time coming. As teenagers, my husband and I both had very similar dreams. He wanted to have a ranch in Montana with cattle, and I just wanted to live on a homestead in the mountains, have lots of children, and have a farm. You see, we were raised with a lot of homesteading skills. Our parents were kind of pioneers in that. In fact, my family even lived off-grid for a time when I was growing up. It took 25 years from the start of those dreams, though, until we got to where we are today. It was a long wait. In fact, we've even given up before. We gave up for a good portion of time. We were even living in town at one point. It feels now sublime. It feels like we are just so happy right with where we are right now and completely in awe. In fact, it feels like we're walking on a dream sometimes. With that said, there are a few more things we would like to get for our homestead. I do not know that they will happen this year, though. We had intended to get Idaho pasture pigs this year. We have had the goal of getting cattle. As mentioned, that is something my husband's always wanted, and it would be very nice to have our own beef, especially as a larger family with meat prices like they are. It would be so nice to raise our own and sell some to offset the cost. I would like to have more chicken coops and raise more flocks or breeds of chickens, but everything that we had intended or hoped to do this year might have to wait a while. As mentioned, everything that we've gotten has been slowly and piece by piece because we are low income and we try not to take off more than we can chew. Because of that, well, this year we had a rather large and unexpected expense. Our well pump went out. They are quite expensive to replace. Around the same time, one of our best dogs got hurt. So that was an expense looming over us for a few days until we realized she was gonna be okay. Then the new well pump started giving us problems, and we still don't know what's going on with that. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you this because raise your hand in the comments if this is similar to your story. There are so many people out there right now struggling just the same as we are. And I want people to know they're not alone. And hey, tell me I'm not alone. Say hi. How many times have you had to wait many, many years for your dreams to transpire? I am working really hard to see things with the cup half full instead of half empty. Instead of thinking, gosh, I had to wait 25 years for this to happen, I'm saying, well, at least it happened. For some people, it hasn't. Some people are still waiting. And with the well pump money, which is money that I had just put aside into my very first CD for a retirement fund for my husband and I, and had to take it right back out for the well pump, at least it was there. At least we didn't have to go into debt, you know? Instead of focusing on where it feels like the Lord isn't providing, I'm trying to focus on the areas where He has provided and gone above. I'm not gonna lie and say it's easy. This last month especially has been a very hard test of faith. I think everybody asks in the struggle if God is still good. Is God still good in the struggle? Is He still good when there's so much pain in the world and suffering? Isn't this the ultimate question? It's the question that makes many people walk away from God. They can't wrap their minds around a God that would allow suffering, that would allow them to suffer, that would allow others to suffer even worse in the world. I am going to be honest with you. This is something that I myself really struggle with from time to time. I struggle with it when I am suffering, and then I feel even worse when I look around at people that are suffering even more than I am, and I wonder. Here is the conclusion that I have come to, though, and what I've deduced. John 16:33 says, "These things I have spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." I don't know why, but this verse helps. And Romans 8:18, "For I consider that the suffering of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us." So here's what I figure. I figure this world is a trial. It's a trial run. It's kind of like a test. Will we stay faithful or will we not? Will we do the right thing regardless of whether we're rewarded or not? Will we follow the Lord even though it may cost us? Even though it might not be the most fun thing at times? Even though it might be even painful at times? My husband and I have made choices in our lives that are expensive. We made the choice that it would be best for me to stay home and homeschool our children in the Lord. We totally could have made the choice to put them in public school and for me to get a job and for us to put lots of money in the bank for financial security. But we've not felt like that was something that God wanted us to do. We made the choice for all these years for me to be a keeper at home, like it says for women that have children to do. Every choice we've made is a choice we've made that is completely against the modern grain, but are choices that we believe the Lord led us to make. And you know what? He's always carried us through, sometimes miraculously. When I was watering these seedlings more than once, I wasn't sure if I would even be putting them in the ground or if I would be giving them away to somebody else. Now, if you don't know me well, let me just tell you, gardening is like my therapy. I absolutely love gardening and always have. I'm so happy when I've got my hands in the dirt and I'm raising plants and children. Raising plants and children makes me happy. So the thought of not having a garden this year was painful to think of. I didn't know if our water situation would get figured out. Things are still a little sketchy there. But lately God has been teaching me a lesson that I learned a few years ago over again. I guess he's just making sure those roots grow even deeper in this lesson that I learned a few years ago. It's to trust. You know how the Israelites in the wilderness continuously, God would do miracles for them and they would be happy for a moment, but then they would forget. Well, I do the same thing. God has worked so many miracles in my life and I promise I'm not going to forget. And then I do. Raise your hand if you do the same, please. Let me know I'm not alone. Some fiery, expensive trial rears its ugly head and I wonder and I worry. Now, I've been doing really well about this for the last few years, but this spring, for some reason, this old test that I know that I have aced before, I struggled with again. And I think it was because it came in threes. What is it about that number being associated with holding and staying steadfast in the Lord? First, it was the water pump and it being so expensive. Then my thyroid medication got canceled by my insurance. So I'm having to switch brands, and every time that happens, it can take up to a year for my thyroid to get balanced out again. And for those of you that have dealt with thyroid issues, you know what that means. It's a year of, honestly, just pure health problems and misery. But then the third thing, my little dog too. And now I'm starting to sound like a country song. My kids have been watching an old favorite lately. It's The Little House on the Prairie, and we all love that show. In one of the episodes, though, a phrase had jumped out at me, and it wrapped around my heart just when I really needed the reminder the most. The phrase was Pa saying to Ma, "The Lord will provide." When I heard that phrase, it was such special timing. My heart was so heavy, and it's so funny that comfort came through in an old show that was made over 50 years ago before I was born. I just find that funny. I definitely feel like I am in a bit of a storm right now, but the Lord has still provided. He's provided so much for me in this storm. And that's what it comes down to. God never promises that we won't have storms and trials, but He does promise to comfort us and be there for us through them and to get us through. And He does.
I got nothing to worry about when you're by my side. I got nothing to worry about when you're by my side. I looked out and I saw the rain. I wanted it to go away. I felt the weight of it all come down. I braced from the deafening sound.